Hi guys, Andrea Robinson here with you this afternoon, and I want to speak to you further on overcoming fear. Your fears, your phobias, anxieties, panic attacks, the things that you literally dread, those things that keep you from living your life more abundantly the way that God designed us to live in a more abundant, faith-filled, loving fashion. And there are going to be a couple techniques that I'm going to share with you today. It's such a broad-based subject, but I want to tell you, a couple years ago, I was listening to Jerry Seinfeld doing his stand-up routine, and he talked about the two most common fears to the average person. And number one, the most common fear was public speaking. And number two was the fear of death. Now, this made sense to me, but to him, it didn't make sense because he said it must be safer to be in the casket than actually giving the eulogy at the funeral. Okay, I thought I'd start this time together with a little bit of humor since this is such a serious subject. But I want to go over 2 points of practical application for you today. And number one is desensitization. Now, that's a difficult word to say. I'm going to try it again. Desensitization. When you work on desensitizing your fear, what you're doing is you're breaking it down, you're building your courage, and you're actually building new neural pathways in your brain. This is big stuff. And please remember, as you do this, you are literally going to experience some fright and some fear. But when you push your way through that fear in small amounts, you're going to become more and more victorious. It's kind of like the old adage, when you fall off the horse, you better get back up. There's a reason for that, because your mind will make that fear even bigger. And remember, fear from our previous videos, fear plays a part, an important role in our survival. But we want to take the irrational fears and we want to break them down and we want to desensitize them. So we're going to use the fear of water for an example. If you're afraid of water, we can go back at another point and figure out where this fear began. But let's just say you're afraid of water. And that's a very common fear for very many people. You don't want to start your desensitization process. I knew this was going to be a challenging video. Desensitizing process by jumping in 12 feet of water. That would just make it terrifying to the point where you would probably never want to even try this technique. So what you want to do is, whatever the level your fear of water is, you want to make friends with water. So it may be something as simple as filling your bathtub up. I know some folks that literally have a fear of taking a bath because they're so afraid of water. And that's so understandable when you're at that level of fear. So what you want to do is maybe fill your bathtub up, and that can be hard for certain people, maybe 2 to 3 inches of water at most. And just put your hand in that water, or have a friend or family member do that for you. Have them walk you to that tub and have you touch that water. And as you touch it, that's enough for the day. You have done plenty. If your level of fear of water isn't that deep, what you need to do, pun intended, what you need to do is then just maybe go to a body of water, a lake, a pool, and walk to that swimming pool and just make friends with being near the water. Just make friends. Maybe sit on a chair near the water. And that's it. That's it for the day. That is all you need to do. No more. And you leave peacefully. And you're telling your brain and you're creating a neural pathway that says, okay, I arrived to that point. I'm victorious. And nothing bad happened to me. So you want to continue this process. So the next time you may want to go out near that pool or that body of water and kick off your shoe and just go near it, bend down, and either put your hand or your toe, if you're ready, your foot into the water. And that's it. Just touch the water. That is it. And gently and slowly get up and walk away. You may want to go back to that chair that you originally had, sit down in the chair, or just gently, slowly walk away. I promise you, you're going to feel some fear when you do this, but I want you to tell yourself how courageous you are to do this and how brave you are to do this. If you need to repeat that process a few times where you have to go back to the water and touch it with your hand or touch it with your toe, that's okay, but don't stop doing that. Then the next step perhaps would be where you literally maybe wore a pair of shorts and you walked to the water and you literally sat down and you just put one leg in the water. One leg, and you made friends with the water. You splashed your leg, you touched the water, and then you're going to feel frightened. You are going to feel frightened. If you're afraid of water, you're going to feel afraid. But the more you do this, the more you make friends with that situation that you're afraid of, you are going to start overcoming that fear of water to the point where someday, as you do this on and on, you may be swimming, you may be in the ocean, you may be doing all kinds of things with water, and that is a place to start. So that's an example of desensitization. The other thing that I want to talk to you about are your what ifs. We equate, sadly in our society, negativity with reality and positivity with unrealistic expectations. And that's so sad because positivity doesn't necessarily equate to unrealistic, and negativity doesn't necessarily equate to realistic. But we have been brought up in a society that definitely equates those two together. So what we want to do is start to work on our what if thinking. So what if you take that plane ride that you're dreading and it goes really great and you get to your destination, say you're vacating or say you're on a business trip, and that goes really well too. Or you may have had some turbulence and you feel like, oh, but I survived it. It wasn't that bad. So take your what if thinking into the positive. Remember, our society equates negativity with being realistic and positivity with being unrealistic, and we want to flip-flop that back around and bring balance to the scales. That has been something that has been handed down to us and is simply an erroneous zone. It's simply not true. Unfortunately, we can make it more and more true for us if we live that way, but we can also make positive thinking more and more true for us if we live that way. So take your what if thinking and say, what if I really do well? Or what if I'm uncomfortable, but I get through it, but I feel victorious? Write down your what ifs. Keep them in your mind. And the more you do this, the more comfortable you become with positive what if thinking. And the way I apply it in a particular fear that I have a fear of driving the interstate. And as a young teenager, I became an ambulance driver, not literally, but I drove my father when he was having a heart attack and my uncle when he was near death, some other situations where the interstate was concerned. And as I got older, this fear kind of just rose up in me. And what I do is I tackle one exit on the interstate at a time. And it's very, very frightening, guys. It's very frightening. When you're in that level of fear, it's very frightening. But I go one exit and make sure that I stay on the right lane. And I do great positive what if thinkings. What if I get to that next exit and I'm victorious? I did it. I may have shook a little bit. I might have been frightened, but I actually did it. And then what if I come back and I go to the original exit that I got off onto and I'm fine? And that's all I'll do. For desensitizing process, that's all I'll do is one exit. And then the next day I'll take 2 exits. And now I can honestly say that I can drive 30, 40 miles and even more And sometimes I can drive a whole 2-hour trip on the interstate. It works. So I want this to work for you, as I know that it works. I know that you can conquer your fears. If God has helped me to conquer mine, I know that He can do it for you. I believe that it's Michael Montaigne who says, "A man who fears his life suffering spends his life suffering from fear." So we don't want to live our life like that. Remember, God says in the Bible that He did not give us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and of a calm, sound mind. And that's what He wants for all of us, His children. So I invite all of you who are listening to my share today to pray this brief prayer. It's designed for you and I to have a more abundant life and to overcome our fears. Dear God, the great, the magnificent, we thank you. We thank you that you did not give us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and of a calm, sound mind. And we thank you that you are bringing the techniques, the modalities, the people, the healing to us, to our spirit, to our soul, that you are literally changing our neural pathways, that you are literally making our weaknesses into strengths. And I ask for everyone who's praying this prayer that they get the courage to experience maybe that little bit of fright that they have to go through to desensitize their fear, and that they turn their negative what if thinking into positive what if thinking, and that they feel you celebrate with them as they become victorious. And we thank you so very much, dear God. And I ask for each one that is listening and praying this prayer to experience an extra measure of love, light, and blessing. Thank you so very much. And if you've enjoyed my share today, please subscribe to my channel. That's going to help me so very much. And press the bell, because that's going to alert you to further updates. It's going to alert you to further videos and products that I have coming your way. Thank you. And until then, may God bless you.